Can you believe that it's been 2 years since I last made a video? Well, fuck, so much has happened, seriously. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I was just watching my last video, which I was really anxious and talking about going for a job interview, and I was crying, and I was living in Nebraska, and I was married to my husband, and all these things. It's so ridiculous how much has happened in the last 2 years, and I haven't done a video. I hope you don't mind the effects. I just think, I just don't like the way I look too much, and when I do an effect, it kind of just makes me feel a bit less, I don't know, kind of on show, naked, I suppose. I just feel a little bit more like hidden behind this filter. Anyway, so this is a really quick rundown of all that's happened in the last 2 years. So at the end of 2016, I left America and I moved back to England. I moved back with my husband, and after about 6 months of moving back, I left my husband. It was my decision, and it came after a long time of being mentally unwell, having severe issues, which I'll tell you about in a moment. Basically, from coming back to England, I became very unwell, had a lot of kind of psychotic experiences, which I was having also in America, but it just didn't get any better. And I thought coming back to my home in England, I would be doing a lot better, but it didn't make any difference. I was still really bad. I ended up going to hospital a lot. I was in and out. It was hard for my husband to come and visit me there because he would work really hard, and then the hospital was, a bit of a drive away from his house, and from our house, sorry. And it was very stressful time for both of us. I was detained in hospital a number of times, sometimes on a Section 2, sometimes on a Section 3, which I got twice in 2017, which means that you're detained for up to 6 months. It's a very serious section to be on, and I was on that twice last year. I also was picked up by the police on a number of occasions and sectioned that way too, and taken to a place of where I could be medically assessed, or from a mental health point of view, to be put on section. So I was in and out of hospital. I was re-diagnosed as having schizoaffective disorder, which and they gave me a lot of antipsychotics again, and that made me put on a lot of weight at the time. I was really unhappy. I was stuck in hospital for months. It made me extremely violent, and I assaulted a member of staff at the hospital. I've been very apologetic for that since, and me and the member of staff, who I know very well because of multiple admissions, have, we've made up, but obviously that is kind of one of the darkest parts. I was injected in my butt a number of times because they couldn't, because I was out of control in the hospital. Basically, after splitting up with my husband, because he owned the house, I didn't have anywhere to go, so I became homeless. I slept in my car for a few nights, but then my mental health team and the council housed me, got together and they housed me in a bed and breakfast, which I stayed in for a few weeks, and then they put me in emergency accommodation. I've been in the emergency accommodation for about 7 months now. I'm still there now. I have my own very small flat. It's like a studio flat. When I moved here, it had nothing, no furniture, no appliances, nothing. All I had was some blankets on the floor to sleep on, and I had a kettle so I could eat pot noodles and smash instant mashed potato and stuff like that. So that was a really bad time. I've slowly been given furniture and things, and as I've got on like benefits and stuff again, I've been able to do things like get a fridge and a washing machine and things. So after being diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, they then decided that I didn't have that kind of disorder, and that I actually had personality disorder. They diagnosed me with borderline personality disorder first, but they then changed up to mixed personality disorder in cluster B, because they think that I'd have some like dissocial traits as well, or antisocial traits. So sorry, I just keep looking at this list I've got here to refer to. What the hell else happened? Yeah, I've taken I took a number of overdoses last year too, 2017. Most of all this happened after I left my husband, really, and I was like in my emergency accommodation. It's not very nice. I'm surrounded by people with problems, people who are criminal and untrustworthy and intimidating. These are the sort of people I live around, and not saying that I'm an angel, but it's it makes it more stressful. I took an overdose in town, and I was so out of it I started dancing on the roofs of cars. I was arrested and then taken to hospital because I started to lose consciousness because of the OD, and I ended up in the psychiatric ward again. Another overdose I took in the middle of a forest, and a guy walking his dog found me, which was really lucky, I suppose you could say. And I took one at my house too, which meant the police had to pretty much break down my door to get in to me, because my friend called the police. I have been arrested a number of times this year, well, at the end of 2017, various things like drunken disorderly, criminal damage. I recently went to court right at the end of the year, and I received a suspended sentence, which means if I do anything more in the next 6 months to bring me under the radar of the police, I will go to prison for 6 weeks. So things are fucking difficult and mental and crazy, and I am literally winging it from one day to the next. Like, I literally don't know what the fuck I'm doing half the time. I'm waiting for more permanent accommodation, but there might actually be a problem with that now because of the sentence that I recently received, as I am a fucking criminal now, I suppose. But the thing, I don't want to say what the charge was, but it was very much affected by the huge amount of paranoia that I have now. I have a lot of paranoia. I do still hear voices which I put down to being spirits, which I will talk about on another video. And I still see things, very much aware of things. I feel like an antenna sometimes, and I just get vibes. Vibes is the wrong word, but like I just kind of feel like I can pick up on frequencies and things, and so I can tell when somebody is well, this might sound crazy, but I can tell when someone isn't human and if they're a demon or things like this. So personally, I think the diagnosis of a personality disorder may well be right in a lot of ways because of my behaviour and my thinking and stuff, but I genuinely think that I have issues with psychotic symptoms, and I am being treated with Seroquel quetiapine, which is an antipsychotic, but I think the jury's out. A lot of psychiatrists and people I come into contact with say I have a psychotic aspect, but personality disorder is also the main diagnosis. I've basically been told they don't really know what to do with me. I'm currently getting psychology. I've been getting psychology for the last 9 months now, so that's good. But everything is still fucking mental. As I said, I was in court just a few days before the new year, so things are, pretty rocky. And anyway, that video is longer than I wanted it to be. It was supposed to be just a quick recap of the last 2 years, but I guess it's been a fucking crazy 2 years. So anyway, there's the video. I'll go into more detail about certain aspects of it in other videos, but yeah, it's good to be back anyway.